Hello YouTube land, my name is Kestalkayden and we are playing some Path of Exile. Today I'm going to be showcasing you my Blade Vortex Chieftain build. Now, last time I took this out was in Harvest. Now that Harvest is back, I figured I'd take it out for a spin again. How does it fare? Pretty damn good. I'm going to be doing a random T15 Canyon map. Now, why am I running Canyon? Mostly because of Valdos. I love Canyon. Valdos I love as well. Harbies everywhere. I have Watchstones all over the place. We'll go over all that after I run into a little bit of a map and just kind of showcase what this build is capable of. So we'll go over the skills, we'll go over the path of building, we'll go over the Watchstone strat that I have for this region. I mean, it's known. If you've been on Reddit, you've probably seen it. So I'll quickly skim over it in case if people don't know. But yeah, I play this build because of the explosions. Things actually didn't fully load in, but that's just texture streaming and other things. Really do hope that they iron that out. By the way, this is full block Blade Vortex. Feels great, life gain on block, etc, etc. So what you'd normally expect out of, like, you know, your vortex builds that pretty much unkillable, I just kind of approached that. Oh, hey, there was a speed shrine here and I didn't even notice. So monsters were, you know, experiencing a speed shrine there, and that's okay. I'll pick all that stuff after. We'll just continue on now, especially now that we have the speed shrine. I figured, hey, why not? I'm just looking to see if there's any harvests around. I mean, it's still a 5% chance, so that's not all too bad. We do have some alvas. Generally speaking, ritual is pretty easy.
Just in time.
I'll also do the alvas another time too. So boss is right here, so you just drop down your Vaal Righteous Fire and your Vaal Blade Vortex, and off you go. Easy peasy. And overall pretty damn good. Now, with Blade Vortex, with all the stars aligned, you have roughly around 7 million damage, I'd say. With Blade Vortex on top, with Vaal Blade Vortex on top, I apologize, that's another 3 million. You have an on-demand cull, which is pretty damn good. So, yeah, it does decent damage. And again, this is nowhere near min-maxed. I'm actually currently working on gloves. I still have to work on my shield. Still have to work on my belt. Like, there's a lot of things on this build that still need work. And that's fine, because this build is a work in progress. So anyways, I'm actually just going to quickly click all these things, and once we're back in the hideout, I will go over the build. Okay, so we are back in the hideout now, and I'm going to quickly go over some of our equipment options. But first, I'm just going to quickly mention what we're doing here. Now, we've socketed our Watchstones so that we are target farming T15 Canyon, or at least, you know, 4 Watchstone, Valdos Rest. So everything else is socketed out aside from Glenic. I'm also going to be doing some farming in Glenic as well. What I do here is what you'd expect. So Harbingers and areas drop rarer value currency shards. This doesn't stack. You just grab one auspicious, and then the rest of them are laden prophecies, or laden prophecies. Wow. The rest of them are laden Watchstones. Each of these are a Watchstone, and you go from there. Now, the reason why we do this is so that we can stack lots and lots and lots of Harbies and decent currency and more currency explosions, etc, etc. Now, I do this because I got hooked after my first Mirror Shard, and I was like, hey, let's go grab it. So 3 Mirror Shards later, I'm running this strat. Now, alternatively, there are other good strats out there. Glenic, especially with Legion and New Vestir Legion. I'm going to be running those soon. I'm also stacking a bunch of Zayna mission increases on Haywork whenever I decide to go through, you know, 30 missions just to target farm and target hunt and then sell off on the forum. Or, hey, shield, cool. One moment. So I wasn't quite expecting that sale during that, but hey, it was there. Anyway, so yeah, currently we're just doing that strat. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I'm onwards going on to my 4th Mirror Shard, so feels great. Going into the equipment, the majority of what I have here is self-crafted and is a work in progress. So if you see anything like this that doesn't have any life on it but has 2 life rolls because of me being a derp, I'm going to have to, for example, remove life on the suffix, block suffix, remove life on prefix, and basically just keep on augmenting, removing life until I get a decent life roll. That'll probably boost me up at least another 200-ish HP, which is great. This generally is actually kind of a finished shield. Ideally, I'd probably want higher life roll on it, but I mean, this is fine. Here we have a pretty simple one. I'm going to remove attack on the prefix. I want to first remove life, add life, add more life onto that, and then probably target something else with either Harvest Craft or potentially just craft in general using the crafting table. So this is a flammability on hit ring. It wasn't too hard to craft with Harvest Craft, so I like it a lot. This, I'm probably going to stick with it. It's just a simple boot with Aspect of the Spider on it. Ideally, I would want something with like Onslaught or Tailwind or anything like that, but we're not crit based, and we can't really utilize Arcane Surge at all because of this. With Eldritch Battery, it doesn't really work very well. This is also another boot that is pretty much, or sorry, this is a belt that's also pretty much done. We have global physical damage with Eldritch on it. It's an Elder belt. We have our increased life, and I'm basically just adding chaos until I get a full on chaos roll. Because in the end, this will probably be maxed out at 75 chaos. Right now it's not, and that's something that I'm currently working on. When I bash my flasks, I have almost max block, and again, with recover 5% of your life on block, that's a pretty decent mechanic. This was a lucky craft of mine. Well, lucky and not so lucky. If you go onto a website called PoEDB, you can see the mod list of everything. And for those that do know it, first off, it's a chasm of information. You could just keep searching through that website and you'll keep on finding more things. Basically, I got lucky with this one because there wasn't really anything else on the physical on a prefix. So basically, I just added augmented and got physical. I had the all spell, which was fine. I managed to also get a pretty high roll on spell damage. Cast speed was nice. I haven't opened suffix. I haven't decided what to do with that. We'll see. And it's not even a Conqueror base, so who knows? I might look at the Conqueror bases. I might do something with that. As for the enchant on that, or Harvest enchant, I decided to add increased area effect per 4%. So when I do get a good enough base that I'm happy with, I could probably just corrupt to 30% or get it to 28% via Syndicate. This ring is just your standard Herald of Ash, has increased buff effect with increased damage, fire damage, while affected by Herald of Ash. The attributes at the top, or the implicits, didn't really matter to me, but I might maybe potentially eventually find myself a better ring, and I'll be pretty happy with that as well. And this is just a mashup of two Conqueror types. I focused on Dex and Phys. Off I went. And I got lucky enough with another Dex roll, which I didn't need, but it was there. And then all I had to do was just add more lightning. I managed to get a high tier lightning roll, so I was pretty happy about that. I haven't even added anything else to it. If I get a high enough life roll, I might add like something there, but yeah, it worked out pretty well. And then this, again, is nothing major. I went with all white base. I managed to get Explode Chest, and then I found, one level of Socketed. I used an Awaken Orb on it, melded them together. I can get rid of the Fire Roll, which means I have two open suffixes that I have no idea what to do with. I might try to get a higher Chaos Resist roll, but again, from here on out, I can get whatever. And the other thing with the glove is, again, this is a double mashup. Increased spell damage and unnerve. So there you go. Once I get a decent enough reason to use my Maven Orbs, I'm actually going to be probably doing something with my chest specifically, but this works well enough for the majority of things. Anyway, so one of the things I'm going to switch off into is going to be the Path of Building. So right now by itself, just hands down, 6 million Shaper DPS. Vaal Blade Vortex is 2.5. We have an on-demand cull via the Culling Strike that's applied to via the Armageddon brand, which, as you've seen, trigger Socketed spell when you use a skill. It's all automatic. You can do a manual setup, but I'm lazy. I want to just kind of go into a map, get things done, kill what I need to, and off I go. Again, block chance is pretty much capped with recover 5% life on block. So everything there is good. Skill tree is kind of what you'd kind of expect from a tanky chieftain. It's almost similar to like an RF, but a little different, and that's fine. We still focus on our Enduring Cry, which is nice. We bind that to our left click. It just keeps going. Chieftain with Enduring Cry is just really nice quality of life. We then focus on a lot of life nodes, a lot of go for a lot of armor nodes just so we can get, up to 70% physical damage reduction. We focus on all of our endurance charges nodes that we can actually get that are in the way. Eventually, I could probably figure out what to do with that and just grab an extra 5% damage physical damage reduction, which would probably be good for me. Again, all life nodes, and literally everything here is just physical or global physical damage, increased life, area damage, done. Same thing with this one, is probably going to be the same, yeah, and this one is probably going to be the same. These are pretty cheap gems. We don't have to really worry about much in terms of that. Same with this one. This one's actually still from my Righteous Fire build that I did, and again, if you haven't seen that, I suggest you take a look at that. It basically took me all the way to Series 8. The main weakness of that build, I'd say for this league especially, is Maven. Once you touch that beam, you're kind of toast. So I did it once deathless, so I'm happy about that. But if you touch that beam once, if you fail the memory game once, if you manage to touch that oscillating beam during that phase where you have to go through all the stuff while doing the memory game, you're pretty much toast. So just to go over some of the cluster jewels, we have this, which again, it's nothing really major. It's just increased elemental resist in case if I had a tough time with that. Fire, or like smoking remains, is obviously great. Actually, I don't know if I ticked that off. Looking at it, I actually don't think that there's anything related to smoke on kill on the config here, so I'm just going to skip over that part. But I mean, it's nice to have. And again, widespread destruction, relatively not like amazing nodes, but it's all around great. So going over this one, we are actually going to be changing it for the reason that I'm going to go into, but it's still a really nice node. So we have Evil Eye and skill, or this other skill is Wish for Dead. Now Evil Eye is great. We're going to probably stick with that. Wish for Dead, we don't necessarily need it anymore because of our weapon 1 setup that we have. Culling strike against cursed enemies, which is great, but we don't need it. The only thing that we really kind of use that for is just increased skill duration, so we could probably get a better node for that, especially now that we have an on-demand culling strike via our first weapon. The second hand, we have things like Empowered Envoy, so Herald skills increase damage. It's nice for the explosions primarily. Same with Heraldry, which was underutilized for a little bit after all the Herald stackers got a little nerfed, but still great and does its job. It has a decent amount of damage. And overall is pretty good. Here we just have your Thread of Hope, decent roll, actually max roll or minimum roll, you know what I mean. And we're basically just converting things over. That's the only reason why we have that. It just saves us a bunch of points, and then we convert everything over with Avatar of Fire. With that said, one of the things that I was considering at one point, and I don't think it's necessarily worth, is technically we could have physical to fire here and physical to fire here. But that would only realistically remove this node here. However, then we could have other damage types as well. So I am potentially considering that. We'll take a look at that sometime in the future. And anyways, this last node is literally just, again, spell damage, physical damage, maximum life. So this is kind of what you'd expect. These are your basic points that you're going to be going for. And again, this is kind of almost like the Righteous Fire tree, except instead of going down over this side, you are taking this, which is great, and then just sticking with this. So overall, really nice. Really nice build. It's a really fun build. It explodes nicely. I don't know what else I could say. That's kind of it, actually. This is going to be a bit of a shorter one, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have any questions about this build, feel free to ask. I'm going to leave Path of Building down below in the description. And yeah, there is a variant where you use a bow with the fire quiver, and it does more damage, but it's not maxed out on block. I like max out block and, your life on block. I like those kind of builds just because I like being tankier, but the damage on that build is a lot more. So if you do want to just like rush through and just not worry about it, you'll still have a decent amount of life. You'll still have like over 6,000 life, and you'll still be, you still have damage reduction. You'll still have other things. I'd recommend looking at that build as well. But with the way that I play, I kind of like zone out half the time, and I don't want to have to pay attention to half the stuff on the screen. So that's about it. Yeah. If you have a comment, leave it down below. subscribe to my channel, leave a like on the video, and don't forget the most important part, have fun.